Thank you for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to get right to that strong tropical wave that we're watching. Kind of a couple areas of disturbed weather out here in the open waters of the Atlantic. This area is going to approach the Caribbean. No immediate signs of development. That's the good news. Longer term, eventually that area could develop. We have one system approaching Bermuda, one tail end of a front there, and there's some of the rain bubbling up as we work our way back toward the western Caribbean. Now let's get to this. Here's this tropical disturbance, if you will, that I'm watching. There's one tropical wave here, another one back here. Now, you can see out ahead of it. So here's Dominica, Barbados, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago. You see this sliver of orange you're seeing on your screen? That's the very dry air. That's been bringing us some of the dust. That dry air right now is a good thing. Of course, not for any breathing issues, but for the development of this. It's going to help prevent some development out of this in the short term. This is going to roll right into that. And then longer term, whatever this is, as it gets through the dry air, does have to deal with some land, and these need the open waters to kind of feed off of. So if this tropical wave works its way, say, toward Hispaniola, that could give us some rain, but it may not be able to develop unless it stays over some of the open waters. Now, let's get to that further. Here we are in the Caribbean. Here's this tropical wave, another one here, and another one coming off the coast of Africa. Sometimes those look a little bit worse than they actually are coming off the coast of Africa because of the angle of the satellite. And I'm sure that's catching your attention. But we are going to see it getting more active, of course, as we get into the month of August, in which these tropical waves that come off the coast of Africa can develop. So here's the setup. Here we are in the Caribbean, watching this tropical wave right here. Here's this one system off the coast of the United States. You see it here, that's going to kind of swing back with some rain. And here's the area of high pressure. That acts like a blocker, and right now, as is typical, that keeps everything down to the south, just kind of moving from east to west across the Caribbean. So let's go out in time here, and you can see again, here we are in the Caribbean. Let me stop the clock here as we work our way throughout the week. This here is by Tuesday, so jumping a few days from now. Here's this tropical disturbance fighting through the dry air, not showing signs of development at that point. High pressure still to the north, keeping it down to the south, so it kind of moves off to the west northwest, and that could bring us some rain as we get back toward parts of the Caribbean, northeastern Caribbean in particular. By the time we get into the middle of the week on Wednesday, you could see some rain moving in. So this is by Wednesday of the upcoming week. The green would be some of the rain. We could see that moving closer to parts of Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda. Then as we get deeper into the week, that's when we could start to see some bigger signs of development. This here is by Thursday. Now, it will depend on any land interaction down here. It needs to stay over the open waters. But you can see high pressure right here starts to build away a little bit. Now, let's go out further in time. This is by the end of the week. So this is going to change. We've seen the changes nonstop. That's how it evolves. This is by the time we get into Friday. By Friday, this may try to develop. Look at that area of high pressure. It kind of moves off toward the east. That could give whatever this is a window to lift to the north, and we have a trough or a front here, front across the United States. That could draw in or draw this more up to the north. So you see here, as we get into next weekend, the European model still tries to develop this as a hurricane. Here's Florida, here are the Bahamas, but it says, hey, high pressure is going to move away. There's going to be a front up to the north right here that it may take one of those curves and lift to the north. But this is just one computer model. A lot of other ones don't even develop it at this point. It's just so early. So I'm going to show you those and talk about those. But there's the area of high pressure. European model saying, hey, this will develop way down the road and then eventually try to lift to the north and kind of do one of those curls just off toward the east of the United States, maybe up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. But this is by the time not only we get into next weekend, but by the following week. So this is going to change. Remember, the European model had a hurricane over here near Florida yesterday. Now it has it over here. We'll see what it does tomorrow. Just taking this with a grain of salt. And then you get a look at the American model, which did a good job forecasting a Hurricane Beryl as a whole. You see this over here. You could see some of the tropical disturbance, some of the rain with it. Now, the American model is saying, hey, it's not going to develop at this point because there's this dry air in here that I just showed you. So You could see some extra rain by the middle of the week by Wednesday. Northeastern Caribbean, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, Antigua, Barbuda, we could get some extra rain. But you see here by Wednesday, the American model's not developing this. And then working forward, though, you see where it would be by the end of the week. This here is by the time we get into Friday, and you see some of the extra rain here, anywhere from Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, back through Puerto Rico. And with the American model keeping it weak, it's saying, hey, it's not going to feel this front up here. A system that's spinning more really wants to go to the north if it can, but this is saying it's going to be weak. So whatever this is, a strong tropical wave will just make its way toward the west. And by next weekend, this would be somewhere near the Gulf of Mexico where or when it could actually develop. So not showing any development over the next week, but watching it as it moves toward the, say, Gulf of Mexico, Bay of Campeche area. There's that front up to the north at the European model saying it's going to drag it up to the north, but the American model is saying it's not going to develop, it'll stay weak and just work its way off to the west. This is normal to have huge differences in the models. It's not that one model is right or one model is wrong, just it's a computer trying to figure things out, but I'm more concerned with what's going on in the environment, and that's the pocket of dry air. And I want to see how it does once it fights through that dry air. European model does eventually make it a hurricane. The American model doesn't have it as a storm. The Canadian model has it as a hurricane and eventually working its way near Cuba back toward the Gulf of Mexico. And the Icon, the German model, which had some good solutions or good output with Hurricane Beryl, says, hey, this is not going to be a storm. This is normal to not know at this point. Strong tropical wave, we're going to be doing this all season. Now, the issue will be the heat content. If we get something moving into the Caribbean, this is an updated heat content map. That's not just the water temperatures being warm, it's warm well down deep. So if we get a tropical wave that eventually moves, say, toward the central, western Caribbean, even into the Gulf of Mexico, if it hits these hotter pockets of water, well, that's when it could really flare up. And that's why I mentioned on the American model, it shows no development now, but if this does move toward the Gulf of Mexico as a tropical wave, it could really flare up anywhere from the western Caribbean over toward the Gulf of Mexico. Just a wait and see on that. Now, the next name on the list, if this does eventually develop, it's not a guarantee, that would be Debbie. So we had Alberto, Beryl. Chris briefly formed when Beryl was out there, and it worked in as a tropical storm for just a day into Mexico. But Debbie, the next name on the list, then Ernesto, Francine, Gordon, Helene, Isaac, and Joyce after that. Now, on the eastern Pacific side, a buildup of moisture. We've had some rain near parts of Guatemala and El Salvador overnight. El Salvador, we've had some flooding. A lot of this moisture is going to be building off, and we could see some development throughout the week ahead on the eastern Pacific side. So I'll be watching that. And here's some of that moisture here. This is that rain near Costa Rica, Nicaragua. It's really been flaring up the last few hours. Some of this is going to lift near Honduras, watching Providencia, San Andres. So watching heavy areas of rain. Not for all of us, but if you get stuck in this, that could lead to some landslides, and that could lead to some flooding, some dangerous river crossings. We're going to see that across Central America the next few days. You see today, there's that rain right there. Here's Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cuba. Look at this rain right here. Costa Rica down through parts of Panama, Guatemala, El Salvador, Belize. Scattered showers and storms for us in Belize. And then we'll see some of this moisture trying to develop over here. Elsewhere, seeing some rounds of rain at times, say Trinidad and Tobago, northeastern Venezuela, over toward Guyana, some scattered showers. Could get some scattered showers and a couple thunderstorms as we work our way toward Jamaica. So kind of staying unsettled, but most of the moisture over here and then kind of building back toward the eastern Pacific side. This is by the time we get into Tuesday. Now look how the wave heights build as we track this next tropical wave. A little bit choppy as we work our way through the Caribbean the next few days. This is by tomorrow. Here's meters. Here's feet, and then you see things flaring up in the open waters of the Atlantic. That's the tropical wave moving in. Just to wait and see on how strong it gets. This here is by Wednesday, northeastern Caribbean and just off toward the Atlantic side. That's where things are going to build. This here is by Thursday. We're going to see the seas building north of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, closer to the Turks and Caicos by the time we get into Thursday. But let's see how this system develops or tries to develop as we get into the week ahead. Big wait and see. Just like to let you know everything I'm seeing out there. So in the short term, we're looking at some spotty showers. Bahamas, south through Jamaica. Could get a couple thunderstorms, couple pop-up storms possible. Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico, we could get a few thunderstorms, especially with our daytime heating today. That could give us 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain, but not a whole lot across the northeastern Caribbean. A little bit more Trinidad and Tobago, where we could get a 3-day rain total in a few locations of 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain. Suriname, we've been a little drier. Guyana and northern and northeastern sections of Venezuela, watching out for some higher totals. But there are these pockets of higher totals. Coastal Nicaragua, over toward Costa Rica and Panama, where we could still see a 3-day total of 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain or higher. That's why I mentioned that landslide threat, watching those big areas of rain forming, even eastern Honduras. Scattered storms for us in Belize. Some of us stay dry, but others over the next 2 days could pick up a couple inches of rain or over 50 millimeters of rain. Guatemala, watching out for some flooding. Same thing in El Salvador. Not as much rain. The Yucatan of Mexico, but as you get toward Mexico City, that rain chance stays high. To the north, though, it will be drier. Now, I showed you that system that's the tail end of it trying to work its way toward Bermuda. Kind of a spin out here, almost subtropical in nature, swings back toward New England. You see it right there. So here's the Atlantic region of Canada, and I'll be monitoring this tropical wave too, because a lot of this action sometimes swings up to the north. The European model was trying to show you that. As we work our way into our Monday, generally looking good. That spin works in toward New England, not as much Atlantic region of Canada. Same thing as we get into Tuesday. We'll be watching a few showers and storms as we get over toward Quebec. So spotty showers and storms in Jamaica. If we get one, it could be strong. We had that really strong storm a couple nights ago, and we could see some scattered storms. Cayman Islands, 20 to 30% chance. Rain chance will pick up Trinidad and Tobago for us tomorrow and Tuesday. Not a washout, but staying active with those scattered showers that will be nearby. 40% chance on Monday in Barbados, 50% chance on Tuesday. And it will go up a little bit in St. Lucia. We're looking at some isolated showers for us in St. Lucia. 40% chance of rain tomorrow in Grenada, 20 to 30% chance St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If we get a shower, it'd be a passing variety. Same thing Martinique, 20 to 30% chance, 40% chance tomorrow in Dominica. We work our way toward Guadeloupe, 20 to 30% chance, isolated showers. Keep an eye on what's going on off to the east with that tropical wave. Antigua and Barbuda, rain chance 20% today, only a 20% chance St. Kitts and Nevis over toward Montserrat, which means mainly dry conditions. Same thing Anguilla and St. Bart's, generally on the dry side. St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, 30 to 40% chance of isolated to scattered showers and storms in Puerto Rico in the afternoon. Could get a couple over toward the U.S. and British Virgin Islands tomorrow. Rain chance 30% across the Bahamas, 10 to 20% chance as we get back toward the Turks and Caicos, and we could get a couple thunderstorms today as we get back toward the Dominican Republic. Not as much in Haiti. Haiti, we are going to be very, very hot. Rain chance, though, as I was showing you, kind of picking up. Scattered showers and storms, more unsettled across Belize the next few days. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, generally dry conditions. Can't rule out a passing shower, but mainly dry. Rain chance on the higher side in Guyana at times. Not as much, though, as we work towards Suriname. You see that rain chance that has been dropping off. Cuba, isolated, little pop-up storm. 50 to 60% chance, though. Costa Rica, Panama, watching those areas of heavier rain and that flood potential. Same thing in Nicaragua, watching eastern Honduras in particular for that higher chance of some rain. Guatemala and El Salvador, we have that flood risk for at least the next 2 days. Mexico City, watching out for some widespread rain and storms around, drier to the north. Yucatan, though, is on the drier side. Could get a couple showers for today. Northern Colombia, few showers and storms. Best chance of rain in Venezuela will be northeastern Venezuela. And then we get back toward Bermuda, watching the tail end of that system that's working its way over toward New England. So a strong tropical wave will approach, but it's entering the area of dry air. So let's see how it does first. Development, though, will be possible later in the upcoming week. And as far as a track goes on and if this will develop, I'm not sure. There's so many environmental factors that are just at this point just so early to see kind of what happens. But I'll be fine-tuning it for you as we go over the next couple days. So I hope you're doing well, hope you're safe, and have a good rest of your day.